work better. So you're not saying anything. Okay. Hello. So hi everyone. My name's Alby and I'm joined by Chloe. We were sitting where you were last year. We really wanted to give you a bit of advice from our experiences and the things that happened last year with us. So, this is us. We're pretty attractive. I know we have amazing children, but this is Mark's finest work. We do have a lot to cover, so we'll give you a bit of a rundown. We'll talk today about our year group as a whole, grad show and the lead up to it, internships, ISTD, mentoring, and also other ways to get involved with the graphic design community. Okay. Yeah, so where's the goddamn coffee? Basically, there's no free coffee. Disappointed if not. The reason for naming this talk Free Coffee, other than to get you here, is that you'll at some stage have disappointments throughout your time as a designer, and basically if you learn from your experiences and develop from others' experiences as well, you'll get to where you want to go. So, I'm Alby, short for Albert. My mum hated my grandpa, and so she called her second-born son that. I draw a lot. I love ideas. Advertising and branding are probably the things that I specialised in last year. I have a sausage dog, which is my world, and I was voted best hair and beard last year. I make lists, and that's my process. So if you can learn what your creative process is now, stick to it and just go to town with it. I'm also addicted to coffee. It kind of feels like a AA meeting, but and I tend to get lost in my own thoughts. So, heads up, it will get competitive, but having just graduated, I feel pretty confident. I've got a job, and I have to credit Jay for pinning that ad up last year. It's a great environment and has taught me heaps. Chloe and I were both ACTA reps, and that might explain why Brendan asked us to talk. But yeah, we'll talk more about that later. I told myself I'd apply for award school this year, and I got in. If anyone's looking to just get justification for their ideas and see whether your ideas are any good, I'd definitely recommend applying. So I had a stint at the brand agency as well last year, and it's amazing to see some of your work go out in such a prestigious company in Perth. I freelance for fun and enjoy the freedom of being my own boss and the money that comes with it, and I'm also still drawing. As you can probably tell right now, I'm a bit of a freaker-outerer, but I also have a good poker face at times. I love a challenge. Although it may not work for everyone, I'd recommend leaving your comfort zone at some point in time, just because that's usually when you do your best work. And really, sink or swim, you will learn heaps. Here's Chloe.
So I'm going to give you a bit of background on me. I started Cert 3 in print production in 2009, but I then went and spent 2 winters in the US, so I like to travel. Fast forward to last year, much like Alby, or like Alby said, I was the central ACTA rep, and I also interned at Rusty. I was placed at Block Branding for a mentorship with their junior and senior creatives. I'll talk about that later on as well. I passed ISTD with a campaign about funding cuts to the TAFE system in WA, which sounds super boring. I was awarded the Typographic Excellence Award and the Rusty Portfolio Award at our grad show. This is where I am now. In a bit of a spontaneous move, I took February off to travel. After 3 years of study, I thought it was time to stretch my legs again. And after an action-packed month, I am now knee-deep in job applications. I have one short job at Rusty coming up next week, which I'm pretty excited about. And fingers crossed, another freelance job in the works. In the meantime, I've been keeping busy with ACTA and Square One, and tomorrow I'm getting my wisdom teeth out. Oh, how did that get in there? So now you know a bit about us, let's talk about you. This is your year after all. And this is just a snapshot of what my year was, according to my Instagram. I love the name, by the way.
Someone did their homework.
let's get real. It's going to be hard and tiring and over before you know it, but it's also going to be exciting, fun and rewarding. The people around you right now are not only going to be your colleagues, but maybe some of your best friends and friends for life. Keep your enemies close, by the way. And we're not experts, but we do think we know a thing or two. About how to make this year amazing, sorry. And let's face it, we set the bar pretty high last year. And you've probably heard some horror stories about the past years, like 50 cups for the best spot at grad show. Hopefully these tips will help you avoid situations like that. Step 1, get a kamali. Last year's Travis Walker Award winner, and she would traditionally be your graduate speaker, but wait here now, because she's in Melbourne. Last year, Kamali did everything but her own work. It was great for us, but insanely stressful for her. And if you're feeling a bit like this right now, there are ways to succeed without a Kamali. So, number 1, communication, of course. In this day and age, there is no excuse not to be connected. Some people want to fight a man and not have Facebook, but now's the time to succumb. Unless you want your email flooded, having a group Facebook page is the easiest way to stay up to date and keep in touch. You only have to check in once or 2 days, and it's a good place for those who are not inclined to put their hands up to share their ideas and be involved. While we're on Facebook, it is important to keep comments and chatter relevant. I'm very guilty of going off topic, and it will annoy other people. It's always wise to keep it civil and friendly. Text on screen doesn't convey tone of voice very well, so sarcastic comments can easily turn into rude and bitchy.
Yeah, I'll jump in here as well. With communication, one of the things I was a bit of a Nazi about last year was Google Docs. Don't know if you've heard about it, but we kept an agenda, and that was pretty much the only thing that actually people could see and keep track of. Having everyone in the room is great, and you get some awesome ideas out there, but having something to show for it after that is probably a better way to go, and it helps you keep track. Yeah.
Number 2, put out spot fires. If you start to feel you've got an issue with someone or something, or you see an issue start to arise, be open and honest about it, and be open to other people's opinions as well. Letting things brew only creates a storm. It's best to let it out before the dam breaks. 3, get everyone involved. We found there are a few different types of people. Most of us were keen to help. There were a few of us who needed a bit of control. A couple had no interest at all. And there are a few people who just need to be told what to do, and not in a bad way. They simply didn't know what needed to be done or how they could help, and they're often overlooked. So, delegate. Especially when you're organising events and you suddenly feel like you're doing everything. Remember who's good at what, and let your responsibility become everyone's. We've all got the same workload. Of course, there's some people with more hectic home life, but there's always little things to be done. Don't be a joke about it. Be brave. Talking in front of people, as you can tell, can be really hard. And realistically, we should say right now that if you can't talk in front of your peers, then this industry isn't going to be kind to you. But we're not that mean, and we've all been in the same boat. If there's an issue that needs to be raised, maybe you have a friend who can talk for you, or if you have an idea for a poster or a venue, just go directly to the person in charge of that event. There's ways around being softly spoken. But then again, you could take this opportunity to practice a bit more while you're among friends. So just a couple of little tips to help you enjoy your last year. Don't brag about that everyone's stressing over that you finished in one night. There's a time and a place for boasting, and it's not while I'm trying to stuff a lot of pages into my ISC submission that's due in an hour and I haven't slept for 26 hours. You can be proud of your achievements, but be mindful of others around you and learn to read through. If people ask for an opinion, they're asking for a reason. We're all here to learn and improve. on ourselves, so be honest with them. And if you hate it, be a little bit tactful, maybe suggest some way that they can improve it. But having said that, if someone does hate your work, don't take it personally. Everyone has different tastes. If you've just discovered that keyboard shortcut, tell us. If you see someone doing something the long way, tell them. And don't keep these gems for yourself because it's just selfish. Hand things in on time for 2 reasons. That's just real life and you want to be industry ready. And things can pile up quickly, so it's better to be on top than drowning. And I'm sure this is said and forgotten every year, but don't leave your portfolio to the last minute. Start branding yourself now because that's the hardest bit. I spent weeks trying to figure out who I was.
I still don't know.
Start gathering formats and layouts that you like now. Completely finished work, the whole shebang. Product mock-ups, websites, mobile apps, just everything, and it'd be a lot less work later. When it does come time to print, give you and your printer ample time, at least 2 weeks, and that's if you haven't made any mistakes. And if IGA has special on chocolate, tell us, and line up for everyone.
Share your M&Ms.
Yeah.
This Friday, Chris.
Yeah,
that's right.
The fun stuff. So you think you're ready for iced tea? Well, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think anyone's ever ready for iced tea. You're probably thinking, but Chloe, we've got plenty of time. Yes, you do. I'm totally jealous. Take full advantage of it. Make sure the subject you have chosen isn't going to bore you in a few weeks. Now, things are going to get very messy. That was me on the first week, and that was me on deadline day. Pretty much the same. I'm the sort of person who needs a physical copy in front of me. Switching between screens drives me insane. And if you're the same, you probably need a lot of space. Hopefully you have the space. And a good strong bag so you can carry lots of books. Start organising your workbook early so you can easily go back and see how you've gotten to the spot that you're at. And if you're in it to win it, the brief tells you exactly what you need as long as you fully understand it. Last year's Everything About One theme wasn't everything about dogs. It was everything about the tip of a female tricolored beagle. Beagle's tail. So print it, read it, highlight it, reread it, make notes, understand it, sleep with it under your pillow. And if you have a question, ask whoever is available. If it's late at night, email someone before you forget. Go to the workshops. We're pretty lucky here in Perth to have them. And Becky and a lot of other talented typographers here too. Just by chatting with them, I promise it will completely transform the quality of the work you're doing and give you a real vision for your final piece. It's a great way to network too. Explain it to someone who doesn't know design. I have a very long, embarrassing story about this one, but I'm not going to go into it. So basically, I spent too much time trying to make this one idea work, and it was school, it was holidays, so I spent a whole week on it during holidays in the library. Anyway. When it came to explaining it at the crafting session, I couldn't. Moral of the story is if you can't explain what you're doing to someone who doesn't know design, then you're going to have a hard time convincing anyone else. So, even though I've spent a week on a design that was thrown out in the end, I still learned a lot about type and how not to use it. And I think this is also a good mantra for life. OMG, it's been 2 weeks to deadline. No, I'm not saying everyone is going to do this, but I'm not saying that. There are going to be a few all-nighters to try and make the deadline. I mean, you guys are designers, so you don't need sleep. To keep you sane, I'm going to be a mum right now, and eat as healthily as you can. I stopped drinking coffee in this time because it would make me feel blah. Drink lots of water. A family friend and a web developer, he actually recently ended up in hospital because he was sitting too long at his computer and not drinking enough, and he just wasn't hydrated. That's a true story. Get some air, and if all else fails, I drop some PQ away longer, which is terrible advice. That was me. The day after submission, so I had slept for, I think it was 13 hours. Yeah.
Brave.
Is it all worth the stress? Of course it is. I wouldn't have just spoken so long about it if it wasn't. These are just a few of the other comments I asked some other people who said how their experience was. The pass or fail at the end of the day, you've got some great experience. You made new contacts and a kick-ass portfolio. Peace. Yeah. And that was my piece.
Sweet. Yeah. So I actually started interning around this time last year with Rusty. Firstly, has anyone here interned before? Just like a show of hands, super awkward, I know. No one? Okay. Wasn't expecting no one. I obviously have. These are the places that I've interned and done work experience for. Some have been great, some have honestly been pretty shitty. Yeah, but other than that, if you want some advice, love or hate, start now. It's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you, just because, yeah, I think it's the best way to get experience. And yeah, if you do have a bad time, then you know it's just something that you can leave in the past. Most, if not all, graphic design jobs require 1 to 3 years experience minimum. I essentially have 1 year done, so I can really apply for those jobs, and I've kind of got that credit to back it up as well. Okay, so this is about the contract. Personally, I think contracts for internships are a bit invalid. Yeah, I think be selfish in this situation. Kind of take advantage of it as well, because you are working for free, and just, I guess, yeah, think about your learning experience as opposed to what you're going to give to them. 3 months. So this is the kind of mantra that I've had for internships for a while. Chloe just told me the other day it's the law. Like apparently they have to have it for 3 months and then start paying you, but I think 3 months is a good gauge of time just to tell whether you'd be good in that environment working-wise. This is my metaphor for TAFE. I got very caught up in what I call the TAFE bubble. Me and Ash at Rusty, we like to call it that because she was at TAFE as well, and you get very caught up in your own head. You'll show your work to other people who know what your work is, and lecturers that have seen you for basically 3 years. It's always good to have another opinion outside of that, and it's invaluable to have industry opinions as well. Ask as many questions as possible, but don't piss people off. People don't want you bugging them constantly. I know the lecturers probably get used to it a little bit, but if you're in a work environment, other people still have work to do as well as your work, so yeah, just try not to annoy people. Deadlines. So basically, reliability. This is crucial. Unlike a TAFE where you can get an extension, this deadline is an actual deadline. For example, these Rusty catalogues, we have a week to compile them all, having shot the photos the week before. If they're not out by that time, basically money's lost and the company isn't doing as great as it should be. So yeah, stick to it as much as you can. Know your limits, time yourself, and just make sure that if you can't handle it, let people know, because they can generally get more people to work on that as well. Make friends with awkward silences. So expect to be uncomfortable working there the first couple times. That just comes with everything. But yeah, you get used to that feeling and you kind of get over it a bit more. And just make sure the work you're doing is up to your standards, and then ask your bosses to see if it is up to their standards as well. But yeah, just be aware that you might have to chuck your headphones on a fair few times, and that's fine. Be different by being yourself. Basically, just stay true to who you are. Don't feel like you have to change because you're at another company or whatever. Just get to know as many people as possible. Make friends. Like Ash, I would say, is a really good friend at the moment, and yeah, she's just a wealth of knowledge and experience that like she's basically been in the footsteps of all of you as well. So yeah, I think, yeah, stop comparing yourself to others, because that's a really big thing. I know I did that a lot, and that's, I feel, kind of why I let my branding down last year, because I didn't really know who I was, but I tried to push myself to be something that I wasn't, so it kind of turned to shit in the end. But that's another story. Yeah, so benefits. A job is probably the best benefit that you can get from interning. You can definitely do it. There's a lot of sob stories, probably more from me than from anyone else, about not getting a job after interning. But yeah, it's definitely possible. Mentoring a friend, someone that you can just chuck work to, they'll chuck you feedback back, even if it's like, this is crap, and do it again, it's still better than nothing. Industry experience, as I said, 3 years. Being able to manage your own time, which is big, especially at TAFE. If you can't manage your own time, then going into the workforce where you have to manage your own time isn't the greatest thing in the world. Make sure you push yourself. Where you are as a graphic designer right now, you want to be next year. So just keep that in mind and just make sure you develop and push yourself to your heights. Skills, as Chloe was saying, keyboard shortcuts are a big thing. And yeah, don't take that for granted. Just make sure you share and grab those skills from other people. And as well, seeing your work out there. So basically, in a day at Rusty, I'll be doing HTML mailouts, Instagram. We do stuff for Bali as well, and light boxes all around Perth. So it's good to just walk into a shop, see your work on a wall, and it's kind of like an instant gratification. Or even just going on Facebook and seeing that your picture has like 2,000 likes. It's kind of a bit cool. Okay, but really, at the end of the day, experience is the main thing. You'll find a job later on, and that's great. Like, you might not love it right now, but yeah, I think getting to that point where you feel comfortable in a workplace is the best thing. Guys, I want experience, but I don't want to take an extra workload.
So I'm not saying don't do an internship, because you definitely should, but there's also this program which starts in the middle of the year. You'll get plenty of notice that we post this up all around the place. Basically what happens is you'll fill out a form with a bunch of different questions about you and what you like, where and how often you want to be mentored, and you'll get matched by a panel of experts known as a team. I was placed with Nathan and Megan down at Block Branding. It's just up there actually, so. And I went there every Friday after Jay's, worked on assignments, asked questions, got their opinions. I sat at the spare desk, used their books, and went to lunch with them all. And the most convincing story that I can share is the rest of you know. You guys did this video last year as well, so I don't need to explain it. This was my original idea on that side, and I took the work down to Blog and asked them what they thought, and they were really nice about it, but basically it was just uninspired. They had me go back and look at the product and brand again. The board being from the 80s, I was looking at 80s surf culture and style, and I also looked at how I could better use the whole window space. So it completely changed my strategy and the idea, and it was then chosen for the Windows of the City event. Having a new set of eyes to look critically at your work without the pressure of it being someone else's brand, it's wonderful, and you should all do it because it's free with the with the Agdor
If you haven't heard of AGDA, it's the Australian Graphic Designers Association. We're a bit biased because we've been with them for like 2 years now. But really it's just a network of people with like-minded interests and events where you can talk to those people. It's really rewarding when you can go into a room like we did last Wednesday and basically know 80% of the graphic design community in Perth, and they kind of know your name as well. Yeah, it's networking. Yeah, so that's all very great. But you're a student, what's in it for you? So we've just started running Square One, which is an initiative with AGDA. Yeah, basically this is for students and graduates to kind of push them a bit further as well, and basically try and get you a job. our first event is at the Kickstart markets. So if you draw, if you make things, which we all do, feel free to submit some work. The profits go straight back to you. So it's kind of that incentive thing again. You can see a work being sold and you can also just get the money straight after. So win-win.
It's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Get onto it.
2 weeks. Yeah, that's it. That pretty much sums up everything. I hope you're not all still disappointed about the free coffee. Did anyone have any questions for us?
When you guys did those internships, so that was during the year, right? Yeah. How often did you go there? Did you miss out classes? How did it work with your take work and maybe the part-time job you may have had? How did you organize that?
Both went just once a week.
Well, I did twice at the start of the year, because it was Bruno and I that started on as interns, but yeah, I think they might need you for more intensive times, like for catalogues, we're there for the whole week, but I think just as long as you can gauge, and like that mid-year break is a really good point as well, because generally you won't have homework over that time and you can kind of do other things. Yeah.
So they look at your timetable and they figure out which day you've got free,
yeah,
and they work around you.
And TAFE is flexible also, I expect, with your that extra workload you took on board.
No, we just like to keep them all.
I know that's essentially you.
Of course we make allowances, and if there's anything you're doing while you're on your internship that correlates with the unit that we're teaching here, for example, Alby was able to bring in what he was doing there for the catalogue, and I was actually, the assignment that we had in, I think it was our typo unit, I was able to look at that and go through what you've done everything that I need to see for this brief with what you've done there, and so I could sign in for it that way.
Yeah.
So it comes down to your individual lecturers when it's that sort of thing, but yes, of course, if you're lucky enough to pick up an internship, we'll be flexible and help you out there too.
Easy. Cool.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any advice to do with exhibitions and events that we should be holding this year, obviously. Just some feedback on sourcing out and scouting out different places and have an idea of what's required.
For your final year or little exhibitions coming up?
Throughout the year, yeah.
Okay. Chloe and Naomi ran the fresh produce. I think having someone that you can kind of go to for everything about one exhibition and kind of making, so for example, we had the record as well. People that were really into that kind of took charge. So make sure they get delegated into those specific events rather than kind of the same people running the same events consistently. Yeah.
Micromanagement's what you're talking about there. So having a team of about 4 people in charge of your first exhibition, and they're the go-to people. So you all listen to what they say, they're in charge of that one. You know, right, we're doing this, and this. Then the next one pops up, you've got another group of 4 or 5 people that are sort of in charge of that. So if the first one is all Estelle's idea and she's doing everything her way, that's fine. Next one's Liv's, you know what I mean? Then, all right, we're doing things your way. This one, because there's somebody who's putting their hand up and saying, hey, let's do this. Like the one that you put on first, the fresh produce, was like, all right, this is what we're doing, this is when it's happening. And before it was a massive, long-winded discussion with everybody. It's like, all right, cool, they've got the venue, they've come up with the idea, everyone created a bit of artwork and helped with the setup, the pack up and that sort of thing. But that idea, and it was great because I think just jumping in head first like you did with that first one last year was an eye-opener for everybody to realise, oh, we don't need to discuss every single part of it with all, 60 of us to excruciating minutiae before we can actually do it. Like, let's get it half done and then figure out the rest on the way.
And just think about it as the little exhibitions that they're kind of practice for your big one. So probably get everyone involved by the last one, but there might only be 5 people at the first one.
Did you have any that really not failed but just didn't work that you would recommend not going there, and or venues not to use and stuff like that? It ended up being more of an effort than.
Yeah, we had I thought that was pretty good. We had one at the Velvet Lounge. Like the traffic wasn't as great as we thought it would be, but I think it was a good bonding experience as well. That was just a pub, and we were all just sitting out front having a beer while people inside selling. The other one I would say would be we had an ice skating event. Yeah, just an ice skating event. Like one of our friends works at the ice skating rink in Mirrabooka, and yeah, like it wasn't the most relevant event, but it was also kind of a team bonding thing. Yeah, so like just, I guess even if they are not the greatest in terms of design, just think about what you can do to bring people together, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the Velvet Lounge still pulled a couple of grand, didn't it?
Yeah. Just I think on, it was a Sunday, there wasn't as much foot traffic, but like
the
that was
Saturday
really
was
one
pretty
thing.
busy, but the Sunday was, but then again, it was actually nice on the Sunday to sit around and have some food and have some drinks, and you know, Saturday was more business, Sunday was a bit more feet up.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a good mix of those is probably good. Yeah, sweet. Well done.
Is there a cutoff for the art markets, these kickstart things, like 4th of April?
Yeah, but feel free to contact us and we can just extend that. Yeah, I will talk a little bit about the Rusty. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I was just wondering, you mentioned the internships. Did you mostly get those opportunities through TAFE projects, or did you approach them?
The Rusty one was through Jay. The brand agency one, Brendan referred me to Dan. Like I've met Dan before with Agda, but all the other ones I've kind of found myself. That might have been why I kind of had shit times at those places. But yeah, I think, like for example, my time at Pigeonhole was great, and it was an awesome team environment and that kind of stuff, but they didn't really have that business side down pat, which I think they kind of have a bit more in tune now. But yeah, just kind of keep that factored in, and if you walk into a place and it's just like kind of a run-down old house, it's probably not the greatest place to start interning at. So yeah.
Cool. What we'll do is we'll talk about career pathways next, and then after that we'll move into one of the rooms just over here, probably 262, for the Advanced Dip doing Rusty, just because they need a different setup to actually put their videos on. So,
I'll just...
thanks very much for that, guys.
Yeah, thanks.